Great to have you with us for this Thursday edition of ESPN FC. Alejandro Moreno, Paul Mariner, fresh off a birthday. Sebastian Salazar here in studio with you. We will also be joined throughout the show by Frank Leboeuf. In fact, he's going to be the first person to comment on the story that has been really making quite some controversy over the last few days here on the show and in the footballing world at large. Kylian Mbappé, this was from some comments on Sunday after he picked up a few football awards. I feel it is maybe the moment to have more responsibility. I hope that can perhaps be at PSG. That would be a great pleasure. Or maybe elsewhere with a new project. Everyone has been talking about what this means, what it doesn't mean. We've had our reaction here on the show. Frank, what's been the reaction in France?
Well, from the fans, it was quite okay. You know, everybody loves Kylian Mbappé. But media-wise, we all thought it wasn't the right time to say that. He came for an award. He talked about the chairman, Nasser El-Khelaifi, giving his condolences, you know, because for the loss of a member of a family. And after, you know, saying that he wanted more responsibility. But what you have to translate when he says that is, I want more money. I want as much as Mr. Neymar. So that wasn't a very nice way to say it. It wasn't the right time to say it. And I think he shouldn't say it. That's it. He made a mistake. It doesn't go with everybody thinks about him. And before asking something, you know, you have to prove that you can do better. He did well the first leg against Manchester United, but didn't do anything the second leg. Was quite inexistent after and got a red card in the French Cup. So everybody wants to see more about him. And obviously, what he says doesn't put a peace in the club and in the dressing room because of maybe what Neymar can think about it.
Paul, we haven't heard yet from you on this. Stevie said Billy Big Time to kind of describe Kylian Mbappé after these comments. Was that too harsh, Paul?
Yeah, I think it was. Look, there's nobody got more respect for Mbappé than me. I thought it was absolutely sensational in that World Cup. Look, the guy's ambitious. He's 20 years of age. He's ambitious. He wants to be the man. And at the present moment, Neymar is sort of blocking him from being the man. Now, if Neymar was to move to possibly, we'll hear about Real Madrid, or if Neymar stays and Mbappé goes to Real Madrid, then I think it's all going to work out fine. I've got no doubt that Mbappé will be perfectly fine. Whether it's PSG and they build a team around him, or whether it's at Real Madrid, wherever he goes, this kid is the guy to build a team around.
It just feels, and I think Frank alluded to it, that it's out of character for Kylian Mbappé, because one of the reasons that we all think very highly of Kylian Mbappé is not only what he does on the field, but the way that he cares in that. If Neymar's demanding that, then maybe you should, because you're scoring the goals, because you're being more impactful than Neymar, because you're more important to PSG than Neymar. And if you have people around you that continue to feed that onto you, then you start believing it. And
he's only 20. And we've got to remember that. He's 20 years of age.
Correct. And so then at that point, you start saying, well, yeah, they have a point. What they're saying is right. Yes, I am more important, and I should be the guy with the responsibility, and I should be the guy at the forefront. It shouldn't be Neymar. He has to be very careful. If indeed there are people around him pointing him in that direction, he has to be very careful, and he has to understand that he is only 20 years old, and that there's plenty for him to achieve in this game yet. And if the ceiling for him is as high as he wants it to be. Get rid of the people around you that may be pointing you in the wrong direction, and make sure that you hold true to yourself.
This is quickly turning into Mbappé versus Neymar. Frank, I wonder, is this a threat to Neymar's control over PSG, and is that a problem for PSG?
Well, in the side of Neymar, you know, we the words, now we want to see the actions, because on the money time, he's been there for 2 years. He's always been injured during that money time. So it's hard to say Neymar right now is the master of the team, is the captain of the dressing room. It's impossible because he wasn't there at the right time. Of course, he has a better pass than Kylian Mbappé because Kylian Mbappé just started. But the real star of the club right now is Kylian Mbappé. And when Neymar wasn't there, that Cavani wasn't there, Mbappé did very well. So it's hard to say, and I agree with Alejandro and Paul Mariner, he's only 20. I think he made a mistake, but he's right. is right. He's the best player right now and should have the best wage. But he's 20, he has to be a little bit patient. It can be a risk of destroying the dressing room, even his relationship with Neymar. They are good friends. So what Neymar think about it, I don't know, I don't have the answer. But I'm pretty sure he's not really well appreciated.
Ale, where do you think this leaves Neymar? We know why he went to PSG, to get away from Messi, to be the guy. This would certainly not suggest he's going to be the guy there much longer.
What I can tell you is that if indeed Neymar's motive was to be the man, the guy, away from Messi, and then this is going to be my team and I'm going to carry this team, well, it's impossible to do that when you're not there, as Frank just said, when the team needs you the most. When you have become sort of a cartoon character yourself because you're doing all sorts of things that doesn't lead to results out on the field. So when you do all the pretty things, right, and PSG's not winning important games, all those pretty things, they don't count for anything. So there's got to be more substance to what you bring to a club. And Mbappé, as he continues to score goals, and he continues to grow up, and he continues to mature, he becomes unstoppable. And so then you have to make a decision as a club. Well, who is the player that is really going to take us to where we need to go? And if it's not Neymar, because for whatever reason it hasn't worked out over the last couple of seasons, then financially you start to plan and you say, wait a minute, if we're going to invest on somebody, where is the future for us? At this point, you have to say Mbappé over Neymar.
You with that, Paul? You think it's...
Look, I think it's admirable that a 20-year-old, yes, he's a fantastic player, incredible footballer. And I agree with Ali about the way he's conducted himself up until these recent quotes. Let's assume that the quotes are not quite what he wanted to say, and he has been influenced. But isn't it refreshing when you get a 20-year-old superstar that wants more responsibility, that wants to take a team on his own shoulders? I mean, it's quite remarkable. And I'll tell you what, the massive teams throughout the world will be taking note of this, and they'll think there was no doubt that we can build a team around this kid. Absolutely, 100%.
But there's no problem in him wanting more responsibility. It's when he then follows up that with saying, here at PSG, or maybe somewhere else. That's when there's a problem, because then you have to question, wait a minute, I thought we were all in PSG. It was all full commitment in PSG. How come that has changed now?
Frank, if we are headed to a choice here, Mbappé or Neymar, who do you think the fans would want to keep?
Well, 100% Neymar has to go. Again, he didn't do what we are expecting him to do because he was injured, but also because of controversy, or because of being injured and going to the Rio Carnival, not seeing last year the finals of the French Cup with his teammates, and not really showing that he's really involved with the club and wants to be completely part of that club. So Mbappé is a guy from Paris. He was born and raised in Paris, in Bondy exactly, and wanted to be in Paris. And he's the best player. He's the guy who attracts the others, the fans. So, of course, you have to give him what he wants. And again, Alejandro, I agree with him when he says that it's the end of the speech who is bad, about I'm going to maybe somewhere else. That's the problem. But otherwise, everybody wants Mbappé to stay. Neymar can go. I don't think it doesn't bother the fans really much.
The Mbappé saga continues. If you ever miss an episode of the saga that is this show, check out the podcast, available on ESPNFC.com or on iTunes. Frank, we opened the show, talk about Kylian Mbappé. Let's switch gears. Antoine Griezmann. A lot has been made a year ago of his announcement to stay at Atletico Madrid. Now he's telling the club that he's leaving. How do you think he's handled the situation?
I think it's a good decision for him. I think he didn't do well. The club didn't do very well. I think Antoine is a fantastic player, and now he has to know something else. He has to go to another level. Whether it's going to be in Barcelona or maybe in Paris or somewhere else, but he has to try something else. I think with Simeone, it's quite difficult when you are, especially when you play at front, to show all your qualities. And Antoine did it and did it well, but he also learned how to defend. But I think we could feel a little bit of a frustration at the end of the day. So I think I'm very happy that he left, that he didn't do a 50 minutes program to announce that he was leaving, like he did last year to say that he was staying. But I think it's a good decision to leave. Now we want to see where it's going to go.
You know, when we were talking about Mbappé jumping over Neymar at PSG, I wonder if it's the same on the French national team. Is Griezmann now kind of second fiddle to Mbappé?
Well, a little bit, and you have to share also with Pogba as well. You know, Pogba is a big personality, and you know, everybody was saying Griezmann and Pogba, big friends, you know, being maybe the kings of the dressing room. And suddenly appeared Mbappé. And Mbappé is a jewelry. And he's a diamond. And everybody loves him. He's well educated. He talks well. Griezmann, we don't really know him. He was almost born football-wise in Spain, where Mbappé comes from Paris, was played in the Liga in Monaco, now Paris. So everybody already.
Frank, you mentioned Paul Pogba. Obviously, Manchester United considering, if the reports are to be believed, giving him the captaincy in an attempt to maybe get him to stay at Old Trafford. How do you think being captain would suit Pogba?
Well, he has the personality to do so, and I remember when Mourinho left, he became kind of a captain in the team, in the dressing room, and showed how much important he was and how good he was. He was maybe and for sure the best player during that time. The problem with Paul seems to be that he doesn't last. It doesn't last performance-wise, where suddenly we lose a little bit of Paul. And when you're a captain, you have to be there week in, week out, you know, making sure that everybody is happy, everybody works together. That's not only just shouting to the friends or having the armband. It's not only that. It's everything and the big day work. So I don't know if Paul can do it. He did well with the national team, not being a captain, but being one of the important guy in the dressing room. I'm pretty sure he can do it in Manchester United. The problem is, for me, the question is, will he want to stay in Manchester United?
Yeah, no Champions League football. Paul, what do you think? Would Pogba be a good fit, a good choice as a captain?
Look, Paul Pogba, when he's fit and raring to go and he's on your side, is a fantastic player. There's not many better midfield players in the world.
I feel like there's a but coming.
Well, Solskjaer's got to pull him to one side and got to explain to him what he requires from him. And Pogba will be quite within his rights to say, well, look, Gaffer, you need to get some better players around me. Because let's face facts, Paul Pogba, when he's in the right frame with the right players around him, he's a sensational footballer. Look at Juve, look at... I don't think it is his fault. I think what you've got to do as a football club, you cherish this player because he is a difference maker. You've got to put the right players around him. Now, that's the job now of Solskjaer and all the backroom staff at Manchester United. That's what they've got to do.
I agree with you that this is a tremendous talent. But I can also tell you that within the boundaries of the description of what a captain should be, there's got to be a sense of commitment, responsibility, leadership, consistency of performance. And of all those things, you can actually, you can directly point the finger at Paul Pogba and say, over the last couple of months of this season, when this team was going sideways and backwards, where was that presence? Where was that leadership? Where was that consistency of performance? I know he cannot account for everybody else on the field, but he himself was not playing well. And he himself was not carrying a team. And he himself was not a leader of a group that needed leadership out on the field. So it's difficult for me to turn around based on that evidence and say, yeah, here, Paul, here's the captain's armband, you take us forward. Based on that, I'm not so sure that that's the right decision.
Pogba as captain, a conversation that is sure to continue, maybe on Extra Time. I know that for sure on Extra Time we will be celebrating one very special birthday.
Hey!
Because we know you haven't seen this enough. Here's yet another look at Shaka Hislop's top 5 teams all time in the Premier League era, and of course the #1 team, the 98-99 Manchester United treble winners. This year's domestic treble-winning City team comes in second. We haven't heard yet from Frank Leboeuf on this, so Frank, what do you think of Xhaka's list?
Well. Xhaka doesn't like Chelsea. I can see that. I agree with him with Manchester United in the first place, you know. And I will have, I say 98, 99 like him, but I will have extended it to 95 to 99 because of Cantona, Steve Bruce, Paul McAllister, York and Cole, of course, Solskjaer, Beckham and the Neville brothers. So it was a great era for Manchester United. But I put in second position Arsenal, but from 98 to 2005 because I think they won it like 3 or 4 times the Premier League, and they were absolutely fantastic with all the French legend, but also all the English good players like Adams, of course. And after I put Chelsea. Put Chelsea 2005, 2006 because it was a fantastic team where they missed the Champions League against Manchester United, but they won the league twice. And then I put Manchester City from now and Chelsea from 2012 with Di Matteo's Champions League to 2017 because they won in 2015 also the Premier League twice. So yeah, that's my first 5, and I have to be very humble to put Chelsea only on the 3rd position.
There's a lot to digest there, including the fact that Frank totally changed the criteria for everything.
And
the entire
he extended the periods of time over a decade. All right.
Paul, we haven't gotten your thoughts yet on the all-time Premier League era list. Do you think Xhaka got it right, especially at the top?
Look, I think we're splitting hairs, to be perfectly frank. I mean, some of the sides that we're talking about were absolutely incredible football teams. You know, what they achieved was remarkable. You know, talk about City this year, to go toe-to-toe with Stevie Nicol. I said, do you think, you know, the team will get beat this season? And you know,
why would you talk to Stevie Nicol?
Well,
honestly,
you know, because he's been right in the mix of doing back-to-back, you know, Division 1 championships, as it was in the old days. It's difficult. And when you have a manager that has got his players in the right position, as Sir Alex did, as Klopp has this season, as Pep Guardiola has this season, it's so difficult to split them. But I will go with Xhaka. It's very rare that I agree with Xhaka, but I will go with him one, but I'm going to go with this year's City too.
Did you notice that when Frank was breaking it down, the first couple of choices that he made...
Chelsea.
Well, no. He goes Manchester United and said, well, but I'm going to extend it to 95, 96, you know, Cantona, of course. And then he went to Arsenal. It's like, well, because from this year to that year, because all the French superstars. And I'm like, all right, okay.
Well done, Frank.
Apparently, if you're French, you got a chance in Frank's
Well done, Frankie. Well done, lad.
Paul, not to pick at your argument, but a little bit. This year's City team had 19 more points than the 98-99 United team. That doesn't count for anything?
Of course it does. I've got them second. But, look, I keep telling you, you're not listening to me. We're splitting hairs here. This is a very difficult question. Look, everybody has their own particular favourites. I'm trying to be non-partisan here by saying this is a very difficult question.
Right.
You know,
but 20 more points over a season is a significant number.
I know it is, but it depends what you're up against. You can only beat what you're up against, right? And, you know, United were very entertaining. They fought till the end, Fergie time, last 6 minutes, they're banging goals and so on and so forth. This Manchester City side is so attractive to watch. And Guardiola's done an absolutely remarkable job.
On our website right now, Gab Marcotti and Mark Ogden have combined to kind of dive in on this City roster.
They're working together?
They're working together.
What?
Yeah, in the rare show of affection between the two. But the point of it is to kind of pick through this amazing roster and say who's going to go and who's going to stay. They actually agreed that John Stones should stay. I wonder if you disagree with that, Ale, because you had a pretty strong take on Stones the other day when we were discussing.
Well, it wasn't on Stones in particular. It was the fact that Pep Guardiola has made it very clear, because of the choices that he has made over the last couple of months of the season, in saying, you know what, I'm going to go with company. And there were ample opportunities to play John Stones, and he decided most of those times to go with somebody else to play in that very same position. If that's what Pep Guardiola is telling us, is essentially saying, you know what, I don't think that this is the guy that we think can take us forward in a center back position. You can keep him as a squad player, but you still need to address the absence of a real, true center back in that team.
Spent £50 million on him to Bayern Munich on ESPN News. Coverage starts 1:55 p.m. Eastern Time. All right, well, we've reached the end of the show, but I think, we'd be remiss on this special day if we didn't celebrate the party that we missed last night.
Wow.
And that was Paul Mariner's 17th, 49th birthday.
Look at you. Oh, hey, Nate, how are you? How's it going, Nate?
Thanks, Nate. Top man.
For Nate.
Look at that.
Wow.
Route 66.
Wow, beautiful.
I never thought I'd make it.
Really?
And neither did you, did you?
Pretty sure if you turn those around, I don't think you're going to make that.
Well, that's
come on.
way to end
You
it.
never know. Well, that's very nice. Did you do this, sir? Thank you very much indeed.
I'll take some credit, yeah. There was some discussion whether we would get you a cake or not, and I felt like after Xhaka's cake, then if you didn't get a cake, there would be, it'd be like Neymar and Mbappé. Like,
hopefully my cake's bigger than his cake.
Well, no, it isn't. It is not.
Right,
I can tell you. And his was like a Trinidad and Tobago flag and everything.
It was the number 50 spelled out.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, that's absolutely sensational.
Wow.
Thank you very much indeed.
Well, look at you.
You want to dive in?
What, with my fingers?
What do we got? We got some extra time.
Oh, no, extra time. Thank you, Nate. Appreciate it, Nate.
We'll be eating the cake, answering your questions on extra time. For Paul, the birthday boy, Alejandro Moreno, I'm
Is this
Sebastian
chocolate?
Salazar.
Is it vanilla?
Thank
What
you
is
so much for watching this edition of ESPN FC, and we will indeed see you next time and for extra time with a Paul Mariner.
Oh, chocolate
birthday
mousse.
special.
What?
What?
Come on. Let's get to it.
Hey, get your hands up for that.
All right, we have reached extra time. An agitated, abrupt, cake-filled version of extra time. We've got Ale, Paul, myself, Seb here in studio. We've got Frank LeBeuf from abroad. He's going to join us to answer some of these questions.
Somewhere.
Somewhere.
Well, got your plate here, Frankie boy.
Unfortunately, Frank won't be able to partake in the birthday cake, but we'll send him some just as quickly as we can as I get
Unlucky, son.
through these questions. Oh, Frank, while Paul's cutting the cake, do you have any memories of watching Paul play throughout his illustrious playing career?
Oh, goodness.
Yes, I was like, I think I was 14, and it was the June 16, 1982, when England beat France 3-0. You see, I don't talk only about French people, only good things about France. So it's a very bad memory for France, but I discovered Mr. Paul Mariner scoring a goal 83rd minute against France. And
You're really
I always
attacking this cake.
Well, happy birthday, Paul.
Thank you,
and
mate.
I always thought Paul Mariner was a nice name, and Paul Mariner was a closing brand, name. I love it. So, happy birthday, Mr.
Thank you, mate. I've just been cutting the cake here. Thanks very much.
Hey, scoring a goal.
By the way, Frank, when we scored after 20-odd seconds, I think the French team were the only people in the world that didn't realise that we did that long throw with Butcher and myself on the near post and Robson coming in late. All your boys were just standing around watching. It was absolutely amazing. We couldn't believe it. Because that was a decent team you had, by the way.
Yeah,
the 82 team. Decent.
I remember exactly what's going on, what happened at that time. But don't forget that we finished in the semi-final.
All right.
So it doesn't mean you have to score very fast, very quickly, if you don't go far.
Well, here's the thing.
And by the way, Tony Schumacher should have been thrown out in that semi-final.
Yes, exactly. That was
holding on to that one for
the
a
England
while.
team.
The same.
The England team in '82, they had to change the rules because we went from the first stage to the second stage. We're undefeated against Germany and Spain at the Bernabeu. So they had to change the rules. We were undefeated, but got knocked out.
Yeah, I know you're too young for that, but yes, Tony Schumacher should have been.
I am too young.
He destroyed the French player.
Yeah.
And should have been thrown out of the game. And
Battiston.
Battiston, yes.
Yeah.
1983. Just missed it.
Right,
Just missed it.
Next, what you got?
Well, my next question is for Ale. Do you have any memories of Paul?
He was a wonderful assistant coach to Stevie Nicol.
That's not true. Because that was not true because we used to absolutely slaughter Alejandro on the field.
Why?
Well, he is prone, I don't know if you've noticed, to going down very easily in the box, to go down very easily getting free kicks.
I ask you a question, Paul. Would you have had him in your team?
Of course.
There you go. There you go.
Well, look, if we're not slaughtering you, then we don't rate you.
Yeah, okay,
if we're slaughtering you,
then you really like me then.
I did.
You love me.
Oh, we did.
We've got some cake-related questions here. On a scale of 1 to 10, how delicious was Paul's birthday cake? Is there still some left over for Shaka?
Well, in my opinion, I don't know about you lads, but I love this. It's fantastic.
Great. Strong cake.
It is strong cake, yeah, very strong.
Did you have cake yesterday?
No, I didn't.
Oh, so this is your birthday.
This is my birthday cake. Yeah, I mean, I've not had a birthday cake for a long, long time.
I'm sharing birthday cake with a World Cup legend.
I feel a little sad the fact that you're not getting birthday cake every year, Paul.
Well, I'll try and keep up.
Next question. Kartik wants to know, happy belated birthday to you, Mariner. What was the best birthday you have ever had in your playing days?
Ooh.
You must have had some good parties, huh?
I'll tell you when it was. It was
towards the end of the
in
season?
Amsterdam.
My city.
Good start.
Yeah.
Good start.
I love where this is going.
We played the second leg against Azad Alkmaar in the Olympic Stadium, and we won the UEFA Cup as it was then. So that was close to my birthday. So that was good. And then afterwards, Frans Thijssen, one of the Dutch lads who played with us, he organised a minivan to take us all out in Amsterdam, and we had a great time. We'll leave it at that.
And the rest will be left to the imagination.
It was a very good day.
Very good.
How old would you have been at that time, Paul?
In 81, I'll be 28.
Ooh, in your prime.
Yes, sir.
You're in your prime.
That's a good one.
You're in your prime.
I could run about in those days.
Not on the field and up the field.
Oh, right. Sorry.
Okay. Franco Kelly wants to know, if Ale was on Apollo 11 back in 1969, what would be his first words when setting foot on the moon?
Yeah, I saw this question earlier, and there's plenty of options. I mean, you can go with, I know a moon when I see one. 100% the moon.
You know it.
You know it. You love it. Yes. Or this is simple, classy. Vamos, Venezuela. I mean, you can go with
Does
that
he have
one.
the shirt on?
I feel like that.
Sure.
No, the flag, because he's planting the flag as the first guy. It would have had to have been, the Venezuela.
I didn't know Venezuela.
And as I put the flag down, I can say, where my grandmother hangs her clothes. I mean, I'm just,
You got millions of them.
Lukaku!
Frank, what about if you were on the moon in 1969? What would your first words have been?
Would have been. Come on, Chelsea.
All right.
Hey, that's my kind of range.
I
could have gone with my kind of range as well. I mean, I gotta think through this.
Shall we continue working on this cake and wrap it?
Yes, sir.
I've done my work.
This is beautiful.
I've done my work.
We've got a show tomorrow.
He's got a mouthful of cake.
So Paolo Bandini will be on it. His man bun will be there as well.
Yay!
We're going to have a good old time.
All right.